So, how would you grade the Yankees so far in 2025? You're going to find out how I grade them in just a moment when an all new live Locked On Yankees begins.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. I would say with me as usual is my co-host Brian McKeon, but he is in the United Kingdom right now, about to watch soccer. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. On today's show, we'll preview the pitching matchups in this weekend's series between the Yankees and visiting Rays. It's Fanmail Friday, and I'll be answering all of your burning Yankee questions. And if you're in the chat, I will answer them there as well. But first, if you're new to the show, we do Fanmail Friday every week. You ask questions, we answer them. If you're an everydayer, you know that we usually start Fanmail Friday with questions from our Locked On Yankees insiders. But this week is going to be a little different because a YouTube viewer had the same idea as me. So I figured we'll start off with his question. So without further ado, 145 Woody says, I enjoy your show, guys. Keep up the great work. What grade do you give the Bombers for the month of April? Who was the biggest standout, not named Judge? And who do you say needs to take a seat at the end of the bench? Now, I honestly was going to do this, and I think it's funny that 145 Woody had the same idea as me. So good grades first, because we like good news before bad news. Obviously, Max Fried. Max Fried has been unbelievable. We'll talk about his numbers later when we preview the Rays series, which begins tonight in the Bronx. But he's been phenomenal. You know, when the Yankees signed him, some people were questioning that move. And, Max Fried has been solid throughout his career. But he's pitching to an ERA less than 150. The Yankees are 6-0 in his starts. He's 5-0. He's just been amazing. Paul Goldschmidt, starting off on fire. Will he sustain those numbers? Probably not, but he's been doing an amazing job. Trent Grisham doing an amazing job. Ben Rice doing an amazing job. I give my bad grades. Cody Bellinger, I will say he's doing well on defense, but offensively he needs to get it going. Will he? I think he will. Jazz needs to get better. Volpe needs to be not so streaky. And Wells has picked it up later, so I'm not going to give him a bad grade. But 145 Woody mentioned Judge, and I have to put this up on the screen because it is actually it's ludicrous what this man has done in the month of April, especially when you consider last April and how slow he started. So Aaron Judge is hitting 427. It's 71 points higher than the next qualified, player. And in 15 of his 31 games, he's recorded 2 or more hits. He is unbelievable. And will he get better when the weather gets warmer? Is he going to hit more home runs when the weather gets warmer? Or are they going to go farther when the weather gets warmer? It's crazy to think about. So overall, when you think about how the Yankees are doing, they're in first place in the AL East. They're doing this without Garrett Cole, without Luis Gil, right, in the rotation. They're doing it with Carlos Carrasco, Will Warren, and Clark Schmidt not pitching well, and without Cody Bellinger's bat. I'll give them a B+. Let me know if you agree with that assessment. Is it too low? Is it too high? Let me know what you think about that. Okay, let's move on to the insider questions because that's what we usually do. And we usually start with Betty. So here we go. Let's beat a dead horse here today. Since it doesn't look like Stroman is going to get the innings needed for his bonus, will he be easier to trade or more willing to move to the bullpen? But then with Carrasco and Warren clearly struggling as starters, would Stroman be better left as a starter? Here's the thing. We know he's not meeting the limit for the innings or the bonus for the innings. Who's going to want him? How are the Yankees couldn't trade him in the offseason before he started this season, didn't do great, and then got injured, right? So I can't see them being able to trade him unless a team is so desperate for an arm that they'll just take anyone. And that's no offense to Marcus Stroman, but at this point, and I can't even believe I'm saying this after I've said some not so positive things about him this week, not meaning to, it's just I would rather have Carlos Carrasco in the rotation than Marcus Stroman at this point. And he came into spring training saying, I'm a starter. He's not moving to the bullpen. He won't. I think he'd rather be traded than move to the bullpen, but who's going to take him? I don't think anyone's going to take him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I believe we mentioned it yesterday, a bit of a setback in his injury. So it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon anyway. They just really need, out of Carrasco and Warren, because they didn't really expect Carlos Carrasco to be in the rotation. They probably weren't expecting him to make it out of spring training. They need to work with Warren. They need to get Warren right. And I think they will someday, hopefully soon. Thank you, Betty. Next, David F. Hey guys, it appears Cabrera is locking down the everyday third base job. DJ is returning. Do you think that Peraza will be traded? Ooh, everydayers know. I will beat this like a dead horse, right? That's the saying. I know I screwed that saying up, but I do not like what the Yankees did to Oswald Peraza. I just think that they messed with him and they're taking key playing time away from him, where if he were on another team, he could be playing. And it drives me crazy that they did this to him. You know, Oswaldo Cabrera is doing a great job. I think right now, Peraza probably would be better off being traded because the Yankees just don't really want to play him. And, you know, he may not be hitting, but when he's out there, he's making some great plays, even at second base. He can play second, he can play short, he can play third. And I just don't like what the Yankees are doing. I don't know what's going to happen when DJ comes back. The Yankees have a lot of questions for when guys come back. And in some cases, you think to yourself, well, it's better to have more players than fewer players, but it's also not that easy to figure out where to put everyone. We're going to discuss a problem they could have in segment 2. But I hope Peraza's traded just because I want him to play. Not because I don't like him, because I do like him, and I really wish that he could have become a good Yankee, but it doesn't look like he's going to. Thank you, David. Next question is from insider Bobby Santoro. If Jazz goes on the IL, would Vivas be the best option to hold it down? He's hitting .319 with 2 home runs and 15 ribbies and an .862 OPS for Scranton, and he has experience at second base. Just like I said a couple of seconds ago, Peraza can play second. If they're not going to trade him and they're going to keep him, he should play second in place of Jazz if Jazz goes on the IL. As I'm recording this at 12, almost 39 p.m. on Friday, I didn't see anything about Jazz going on the IL yet, but I think that Peraza should be the one to take over at second base. Let me know if you agree with that, because I just really don't want them to mess with him anymore. It's just not fair to him. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in our description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings, reactions to the Knick games. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up, more Fanmail Friday questions about Ben Rice, Cody Bellinger, and retired numbers next. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No consoles required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. Check out the Locked On Yankees postcast, hosted by Jay Berman, right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So continuing with our insiders, we have two insiders who asked about Ben Rice. So I'm going to post both of their statements and questions back to back. So first, we have Debbie, who I believe I just saw in the chat. So first, Debbie. My concern with putting Rice in the field as a catcher is the effect it could have on the hitting when doing both. Really do need to get him in games to test that. Your opinion, please. And then Ruben asked, will Ben Rice catch more when Stanton returns? So just before I went live, I noticed an alert that Stanton was placed on the 60-day IL. That doesn't mean he's going to be out for 60 more days, but it also doesn't mean that he's not going to be out for the next 60 days, and it's probably retroactive to some date. So it might not be that long, but you never know with Stanton, it could be that long. I don't have a concern with putting Rice as catcher. I've been advocating for that most of the season, if you listen to the show every day. I think it would actually be better for him to be put into the games as a backup catcher, because I think if you're looking at him and Escara, no offense to Escara, his story's really great. He was an Uber driver. Now he's playing for the Yankees. I mean, you can't get more storybook than that. But Ben Rice's bat is too important right now to take out of the lineup in any way. And if that means he has to back up Wells, if it means he has to back up Goldschmidt, and if that means he has to DH on certain days, they're going to try and get him in there any way they can. We talked about it on Thursday's show. There was an article in the Daily News. Tanner Swanson, the director of catching, wants Rice to catch more, and he's trying to talk Boone into doing it because he's a catcher. He wasn't really a first baseman, and they had him do that in 2024. He's more known as a catcher. I think it's better for him to be a catcher. I think it's better for us that he's a backup catcher because it keeps his bat in the lineup. And if and when Stanton comes back, because again, who knows when that's going to be, do the Yankees have a decision to make? Yes. I think they should start now putting him in as backup catcher more often and not only in blowouts, because I don't think it's fair to him. I think they need to get him in there and get his reps. So thank you guys for those questions. I appreciate all of you. Let me just look. I'm going to look at the chat for a second and see what's happening there. Oh, okay. Thank you, Jordan. So Jazz is on the 10-day IL retro to April 30th. And that was a couple of hours ago. You know how I miss that? I'm not on Twitter anymore. And Blue Sky, a lot of Yankee accounts and beat writer accounts are not on Blue Sky, and it's hard for me to get information as easily as I did. So thank you for that, Jordan. I appreciate it. All right, so now let's move on to YouTube. And the first question from YouTube is from Kevin Banos, 8362. What do you think is the cause of Bellinger's slow start? Do you think it's because of the colder weather for the first few weeks, joining a new team, or simply overall slow start? What do we expect him to look like by summer, as I think he needs to play a crucial role in the lineup? He certainly does. I think Cody Bellinger will be fine. He's showing signs of being Cody Bellinger. And the thing that I always talk about this, and if you've been watching or listening to the show, well, watching for the past 4 years, listening for the past almost 7 years, my thing is, if a guy is struggling at the plate and he's playing okay defensively, it means that his head is not completely out of the game. Because you see in certain instances, if someone's struggling at the plate, they start to struggle defensively. Bellinger has made a couple of bad plays, but he's made a couple of really great plays, and he's consistently good in the outfield. I think it's just a slow start. I don't think Cody Bellinger is going to be like this all season. On the flip side, I don't think Paul Goldschmidt's going to be hitting as well as he's been hitting. So you're going to see a lot of shifts and changes. And I think that Bellinger will start to pick things up because he does play a crucial role in this lineup. And that's what they got him for. You know, he was essentially, even though people don't want to admit it, he was essentially replacing Juan Soto. And for the most part, the Yankees have done a good job without Juan Soto in the lineup. They're 18-13 on the year. Their PIFAG win and loss record is 20-11. I'm assuming the two games that they are talking about are the blown lead in Tampa that they ended up losing in extras 2 weeks ago, and the blown save last Friday night against the Blue Jays. So they're doing fine right now, even with Bellinger not doing well. But also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, that's because Trent Grisham's doing well. It's because Ben Rice is doing well. It's because Paul Goldschmidt's doing well. And Volpe and Wells are kind of up and down. Volpe more up and down than Wells. I think Wells has a better chance of sustaining his numbers, where I think Volpe might just be the player that's always streaky. And again, he's another one. If he's doing bad at the plate, it doesn't matter defensively. He's amazing. So that's a good thing. But yeah, no, I think Bellinger will be fine. Let me know if you agree with me on that in the chat. Thank you for the question, Kevin. And here we go from Big Georgie 333. Hey, Stacey, one of the episodes this week, Brian brought up how Abdul Carter from the New York Giants wanted to wear 56, which is LT's number. When the Yankees run out of numbers, LOL, which numbers would you have no problem unretiring? Thanks so much. I said this the other day. I'm going to say it again. If society survives the 21st century and baseball is still being played into the 2100s and Steinbrenner's great-grandchildren are running the show, I think there should be a time limit on some of the retired numbers, because people in the 2100s are not going to care about Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle and people who played in the 1900s. So maybe at that point, they'll do something about unretiring numbers, because think about, okay, so 2100 is 75 years from now. Think about all the numbers that could be retired between now and 2100. Are they going to start wearing decimals? Are they going to start wearing fractions? Because at this point, that might be the case. And it's even funnier. I know Aaron Judge likes wearing 99, but you have Oswaldo Cabrera wearing 95. You know, you have other guys wearing numbers in the 80s because none of the lower numbers are available yet. So I think there should be a time limit maybe on the retired numbers, and they'll unretire them after like 100 years to give other guys a chance to play with those numbers. Is that a wacky idea? I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I think that, yet Debbie says can't do three numbers. I don't know. I think three numbers would look really bad on the back of the uniform. Like triple, could you imagine? Because the Yankees would be the only ones wearing triple digits because no other team has this problem. It's just the Yankees. You don't see other teams retiring so many numbers. They have retired numbers, but most of those teams only have like maybe 5 to 10 guys who've retired their numbers. So I don't know. I don't think triple digits would work on their uniforms. I think that'd be pretty funny. Oh, yes. FJ, how about negative numbers? Now that would be funny. That would actually be really funny. I kind of like the idea of fractions and decimals though, because that would be pretty goofy. They wouldn't do that though, obviously, because they wouldn't allow that. But it's something the Yankees should consider. Again, most of us are going to be long gone by the turn of the next century. And by then, who knows what's going to go on with baseball. They might not even wear like traditional uniforms. They might have numbers imprinted into their brains or something weird like that in the future. Who knows? All right, coming up, one more Fanmail Friday question. I will be answering any questions you have in the chat, so get those ready. And we will quickly preview the pitching matchup between the Yankees and the Rays. Okay, one last question from YouTube. and it's from Beast from BX. Hello, Beast from BX. Was passing on Nolan Arenado the right option? This is a tough one. Right now, Arenado is batting .245 with 3 home runs and 13 runs batted in. So he's not exactly burning up the numbers, so to speak. He's not tearing the cover off the ball. He's just existing. But I wonder if he was traded to the Yankees, how he'd be performing with Goldschmidt, because he knows Goldschmidt, and how he'd be performing with, because no offense to the Cardinals, they don't have guys like Aaron Judge in the lineup. They don't have guys like Ben Rice, I know it's so funny to say that because he's basically a rookie, but the Cardinals aren't the Yankees right now. And it's kind of interesting to think about, if he had come over here, would he be doing better than hitting .245? And I guess he probably would, depending on where he is in the lineup. With this lineup, how they're performing right now. But I think, personally, it was the right option. Because what would happen when DJ came back? Because they want DJ to play third. I know he can play second. I know he can play first, but Goldschmidt's doing a really good job at first, because even if he starts to not hit, he's great defensively. I feel like the Yankees, it would have been too much to have Nolan Arenado on the team, because there are too many. It's weird to say the Yankees have too many people, but they do. Not on the pitching side, but on the hitting side. It's kind of a lot for them to have. And I think passing on him right now was the right option. I know people will disagree with me, but as I said, they're 18-13, should be 20-11. They're in first place. They're doing this without Garrett Cole, without Luis Gil, without Giancarlo Stanton. I think they're okay without Nolan Arenado. And I know that the temptation or the thought from Yankee fans is you have to have an all-star or a former all-star at every single position. But right now they're okay without that. So I think they're okay without Arenado. So I'm looking in the chat and seeing if I see any questions. Oh. Any chance the Yankees could pry Brendan Donovan away from the Cardinals? Interesting. I actually wonder about that. Anything can happen. It's just, who do they trade? As I said, they have a number of people they could trade, because they're people who are just interchangeable, right? But I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be, I can't wait for the trade deadline. I want to see what they do at the trade deadline, how they're doing at the trade deadline, and then who they go after at the trade deadline. I'm also hoping that Luis Gil is back by then and he's okay, because that's a big key. I think having Gil in the rotation will help a lot, hopefully. Junior Mafia, given that we went to the World Series last year and looking at the team so far this year, could you see the Yankees returning back to the World Series? Anything can happen. It depends on how the rest of the teams in the AL do, right? Because there are some teams who, like, the AL is not, I don't know. I think some of the teams in the National League are doing a little better than the AL's best teams, but it's so early. You don't even know what would happen. Again, look to the trade deadline, see how they upgrade the team after the trade deadline. Let's see. Nez TBG, can Vivas get in one game? At least let him in as a pinch runner. The bat boy gets more shine than Vivas. I know. It's like they bring these guys up and then they don't do anything. Or they bring these guys up, play them in an ALCS, then have them fight for a job, then lose it. Of course, I'm talking about Peraza because I'm still bitter about that. Okay, let's quickly preview the pitching matchups between the Yankees and the Rays. The Yankees played the Rays 2 weeks ago, beat them 3 out of 4, should have been a sweep. That Saturday game was so bad. So Friday night, 7:05 start. Max Fried, 5-0 with a 1.19 ERA. If you told me when the season started that Max Fried would be 5-0 with a 1.19 ERA at this point in the season, I would have laughed in your face. I wouldn't have thought that he was going to be bad. I just didn't see 1.19 ERA. It's not sustainable. He doesn't mow people down. He's just a smart pitcher, and he knows how to get out of situations, and he knows how to pitch. And the Yankees are 6-0 in his starts. So they have a bit of a streak on the line here tonight against the Rays. Ryan Pepio is the opponent. He's 2-3 with a 4.24 ERA. Now, the next few ERAs I read to you, you're going to probably wrinkle your nose and think, ooh, those are bad. Saturday, 105, Clark Schmidt, 0-1 with a 5.52 ERA. Wasn't helped by that game in Detroit. Against Zach Littell, who's 1-5 with a 5.03 ERA. So he's not having a great season either. And then Sunday, 1:35 p.m., Will Warren, who's 1-1 with a 5.53 ERA. So one measly little tenth of a point worse than Clark Schmidt, against Taj Bradley, who's 2-2 with a 4.58 ERA. So, yeah, this will be interesting. The Rays have picked it up a bit since the Yankees beat them 3 out of 4. And the Yankees just lost 2 out of 3 to the Orioles, who lost 6 of 7 heading into that series. So you really don't know what to expect going into the series. Maybe because the Yankees are home, the weather's going to be warmer. Maybe the balls will be flying out of the stadium, hopefully just for the Yankees and not for the Rays. And it'll be a different series for them. But, you know, they took pretty good care of them 2 weeks ago in Tampa. So we'll see how things work out. I think the best game should be Friday night's game, watching Max Fried. I think Clark Schmidt might be able to bounce back. I think he might be able to bounce back on Saturday, I'm hoping. And Will Warren, I don't know. I don't think he's as bad as his ERA is showing. He just really, they need to work with him. I have faith in Will Warren. I think he can be okay. Do I expect him to be a number 1 starter? Of course not. But I would like for him to be a serviceable 3 or 4. That would be nice. Nez TBG. Is Dominguez better served in the minors? I don't trust Boone or the Yankees to develop him in the majors. No, I think he's better served here in the majors. He's already shown that when he gets on base, he can steal bases. And I think we mentioned it either earlier this week or maybe late last week, that it's funny that teams, I don't know why teams aren't expecting him, because that's the number on Dominguez. Like, people should know that he's speedy. I guess it's because he's pretty like stocky, not stocky, but he's short and stout compared to guys who are skinny and small, who speed, like Brett Gardner. Not that he was tiny, but he wasn't like a big stocky guy, and he ran really fast. But Dominguez is great on the bases, and if he gets on the bases, he can do a lot. I just don't like that the Yankees insist on taking him out for defensive reasons, even when they're up by a bunch of runs. Just keep him in the 9th inning. Do you think he's going to screw up that bad that he's going to affect a game by messing up in left field? And he's been fine. He really has. He's actually made some pretty good plays in left field, because, wow, what an amazing concept. You have someone play a position and get used to it, and they do well. It's like baseball. That's how baseball is. Just let them play and stop, taking them out, sitting them for 2 days because you're afraid they can't play in certain left fields. Although I will say, I probably wouldn't have started him in left field either in Baltimore, because they keep moving the fence back, moving it in, fixing it, doing that. No one knows how to play left field in Baltimore, even people who play for Baltimore. So yeah, let me just look for a few more questions. Thank you guys for joining me here. I appreciate it. It's the middle of the day. It's a Friday. If you're in New York, it's really nice out right now. I think it's supposed to be in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, and it's sunny. And hopefully the weather will stay nice for the Yankees against the Rays. But Jason Dominguez is an everyday player. If Anthony Volpe is an everyday player, Jason Dominguez should be an everyday player. Given how up and down Volpe is offensively, and they don't ever really sit him, they should give the same to Dominguez and let him play. Honestly. They should also let Peraza play, but that's another rant for another day. I just rhymed. That was great. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me for this live edition of Fanmail Friday. Thank you for asking questions. And thank you for asking questions in the chat. I really appreciate it. And thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long, you get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, we have a new MLB Squad show. It goes up every Tuesday on the Locked On MLB channel, and I believe it comes up on our channel. You'll see it on YouTube. A bunch of Locked On MLB hosts get together and talk about the week's topics, and occasionally you might see me on that show, so make sure you tune in. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias, and I will see you, hopefully, on Monday.